Travis, my good self. Well, it turns out that the born-again Christian church is now the baseball locker room. Go figure. I used to live in Southern California. I didn't go to Corona High School. Went to Norco High School because I was on the west side of the freeway in the brand new subdivision over there, which now has sold the farm of cows. There's an Apis bull parade going on down south on Salt Lake. Thought that was interesting. Apis bull parade as the David slaying Goliath sign in the heavens is going on. Huh. And of course, all of you know what the Apis bull parade is. This is not that video, so you'll just have to be teased. But I did go to the church across the street there. It's in the lower left portion of the picture I'll have on the screen for you. But the seminary building was the little extension rooms. They probably used them for primary during church, if I remember correctly. We moved there for my 8th grade year for Auburn Jail Junior High intermediate school, and then went on to Norco High School. So Corona was our rivals, our big rivals, because they were the closest. Though North was our real enemy, because North High School always beat us. And when I was on the junior varsity, we beat them. Yep, we finally beat them. It was a tough one, but it was amazing we beat them. So anyway, yeah, the born-again Christians. They used to have a big old cross right there in the front of the baseball thing now. And Tom Jones was my closest neighbor. Pete was also in that, as he was on the basketball team with me. But Tom Jones was my neighbor, and I found out through him that they were teaching only how to attack Mormonism, to destroy Mormons, and to criticize and say that Mormons are not Christian. So Tom Jones knew all about the word of wisdom. I can't have coffee. What's coffee? And he was shown the God makers. Never seen it. Church won't let us see it. and so it wasn't until the mid-'80s when video rentals began. But yeah, Tom Jones confronted me one morning or one day. I can't remember which, if I was going to school or what was going on. But he was mocking me for being Mormon, saying that I can't drink coffee, and that I think that I'll be God, and and therefore my religion was wrong. And of course, not having been educated in the logical argument, I said, no, we're the true church. We're the true God. No, ours is. No, ours is. All right, well, Tom concluded, we'll find out after we're dead whose church is right. Who has the right God. So thanks to South Park, we know it's the Mormon Church. The Mormons. The Mormons were the right church. So, settles that problem, doesn't it? The kids, having been taught that our church is wrong and evil, thought that TPing our church would be a good idea. So that happened one seminary morning. I didn't get to clean it. This was before the church had the members clean the building. And so there was an interesting lesson that I learned from that, is that when you're debating religion, if you turn it into a useless argument, it becomes a useless argument. So there's some interesting parallels that I've noticed as I've been introduced to YouTube and finding both Mormon and ex-Mormon channels, is that I notice Christians fall into this, as they love to show up on my channel and say, yeah, Christian's the true religion, Jesus is the only way, the one true God, the truth, the life, the whatever. So there is no real etiquette going on YouTube. You'd think that we would be taught that. No, we're not taught that growing up. So YouTube comes around, it's the perfect petri dish for abuse and ridiculous arguments back and forth. I don't know what got into Mormons' heads for them to think that going on to other people's channels to attack them was Christ-like. Now, yes, I do my channels exposing the church's crimes, not just how they've been lying to us about church history. But to witness Mormons attack those of us who comment on ex-Mormon and people who are investigating the church. It's me, Jessie, for example. It's me, Jessie. She's not Mormon, she's Christian, of a particular Christianity, and she's had her pastor on there, as her father and her pastor were deeply concerned that she was spending too much time on Mormons on her YouTube channel. And so I noticed that eventually she was being pressured to stop researching the church, even though she was exposing what she was learning about it, which already convinced her not to be a part of it. But, you know, once you classify something as evil, there's a tendency to fear it and want nothing to do with it because of the possession factor with idol worship. Don't read the Satanic Bible. You'll become possessed. You'll lose your testimony. Really? So it's true then. is what you're telling me. If I read the Satanic Bible, it will be true. I will lose my testimony and fall away from the truth. People just are not smart. Well, word has power. Idol worship. Fear the word. And so I don't understand why Mormons think it's a good idea to go scrolling down ex-Mormons or It's Me Jesse's feed, comment line, whatever it's called, and search for victim prey or whatever they want to call it, that they can attack people with. Because they don't attack the people on the channel, because the people on the channel either ignore them or just delete them, ban them. And so they think that attacking people who comment is the better way to go. This is why I hold all my comments for review, is so that Mormons like this cannot attack other commenters that I have approved. And then they counter-argue with, you delete the truth. Go away. Get a life. Leave people alone. And they just can't. Because why are Mormons spending all their time, like the born-again Christian church, trying to disprove and attack ex-Mormons and those who criticize the church? It makes no sense. You'd think Mormons would dedicate the majority of their time doing their own videos or watching only church-approved videos from the church channels, rather than spending all their time watching my videos all the way through only to attack me. It makes no sense, because they don't have a testimony. A testimony is an actual physical witness, a knowledge of your five senses that something is true, that you have experienced something firsthand. It's not a spiritual witness. But Mormons have redefined it so that they can't be judged. Because if it's a spiritual witness, we can't know what they're thinking and feeling. How are we going to judge them? Oh no, I guess the church is true. Not like those prophet leaders who commit crimes for which we may judge them, because it's committed out in the open. We see their consequences. We see the physical manifestation of their crimes. And I don't know why Mormons can't recognize crime, or that they are so deluded that they can't recognize that that the prophets are committing crimes and that they're in the wrong church. Is it worth staying in the church to the death when it's wrong? Again, that makes no sense. For me, growing up Mormon, yeah, I remember, and you can't really call it defended because it was a useless argument, but I supported the church back then as a little kid. I knew of nothing else. Parents wouldn't let me. And so all things in my life were Mormon or what the school system taught me, and TV. saw a few episodes of the Benny Hill Show late at night. So I was taught Miami Vice when I was later on. Earlier stuff was cartoons, Love Boat. Yeah, Love Boat. Perfect show for a teenage boy entering into teenage years. But Battlestar Galactica as well. Other cool stuff. And so, as such, there needs to be some etiquette. And nobody listens to me, so I don't know why I would do this, but if you don't like somebody's channel, you don't like what they're spreading around, stay away from it. Is that too hard for you? Can you resist listening to the evils of ex-Mormonism? Can you? I don't think you can. And therein lies your conundrum. You know there's something wrong with the church, but it disturbs you inside, that you think you have to be God's vengeance on earth against ex-Mormons. And I still see that kind of behavior in ex-Mormons. I don't know if ex-Mormons go to Mormon apologetic channels like Kwaku's crap and do the same kind of trolling. I hope not. You don't fight fire with fire unless it's an actual fire that needs to be fought with fire. It does not apply into human behavior easily. It's just it's not a proper logical conclusion when you introduce something that's done in a career field, like it takes two to tango. No, it doesn't. You don't blame the victim. What the hell is wrong with you? It does not take two to tango, it only takes one. Oh, but Republican conservative governments love to blame both. Oh, well, because Billy started a fight, the whole class is not going to have the special lecture. Whatever, for the excuse. And I don't know if that's what ex-Mormons do, because I don't go to Mormon channels. I show etiquette. I don't like what they have to say. I don't watch their videos. Kwaku is racist, sexist, and bigoted, and full of hate and rage, with mockery as his undercurrent emotion for the rage he feels against ex-Mormons. And you can see it manifested when he has a big black guy on his videos, supposedly to intimidate anyone who dares to molest or make afraid, as we apparently have made Kwaku afraid, for him to use a big black man on his videos. We all know what that means, Kwaku. That means that you felt insecure in your defense of the church, and so you threaten the rest of us with a big black man. We know exactly what that is. It's a childhood thing. in Auburn jail. His name was Titus Campbell. He knew he took kickboxing. He was in high school. He got into the 300 club, which is weights. Was able to bench press 300 pounds. And so, yeah, he was very intimidating. And so when he got brought into a discussion, we knew exactly what that was for. And so, yes, one day coming home on the bus, sure enough, there was Titus Campbell helping to prove the point of the person who brought him into the discussion as he was knocking him down on the ground. Titus, I found out later, had gone to a movie theater in which somebody needed to have a discussion, and he worked at the movie theater, the brand new one that was created there in River, was it Norco, and yeah, I brought a knife to his workplace and stabbed him, and Titus was in prison, last I had heard, some 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, maybe 30. Long time ago. So, yeah, and I've told the story a long time ago about I can't talk about that. That was my first experience with racism. And my sister Childs, who was in our Corona ward, anyway. And so this is what I do, and I do unto others as I would have them do unto me. But that's not the case, is it? What we do tends to be seen as weakness when we're good and polite and respectful. Now, yes, on my videos on my channel, I expose the crimes and lies of the church. But I don't go to Kwaku and make comments, "Oh, you suck, Kwaku. Oh, you're so lame. Oh, church is false." Don't do that. I bear testimony that the church is wrong, that the Book of Mormon was written by Sidney Rigdon. I don't do that. I've been taught better than to do that to other people, to other Mormons. And I've seen the Godmakers now. It's on YouTube. They even have a part 2. And I'm like, this was all the fuss back in the 80s? What the hell? This is a big downer. I knew all this. I could correct this information. Anyway, all that hype as a kid just to be let down. Oh man, I know better than this. I could have made a better movie. And so I don't even go on to ex-Mormons to say, "Oh, you guys should not be attacking the church." Well, I have gone on to ex-Mormons, and even It's Me, Jesse, to help add to their video. Because that's what you're supposed to do. I don't go on to John DeLynne's videos, for example. I now stay away from him too. But I don't go to John DeLynne's videos and say, "Oh, you're so wrong, John. This is how it was done in church history." If you're gonna trash the church, get it right. I do that on my videos, on my channel. But yeah, I did talk about on John's channel of how he disses me, and so he did communicate with me, but he did his research and found my videos on him. And so I asked him, you know, as your career field, he's a PhD in psycho, how to groom people. And he ignored me, confirming that yes, that's exactly what he's doing to his audience. He's using his career field to brainwash ex-Mormons. He confirmed that for me, rather than replying, "No, that's not my intention, I'm trying to blah 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 blah." Nope, didn't even bother. He was too offended and upset that I exposed him for what he really is. You're welcome, ex-Mormons. As, of course, you've been brainwashed like Mormons have been brainwashed by the church. And Mormons get offended and stay more with the church because they're offended with what I've exposed. Ex-Mormons, likewise, flock and solidify their relationship with the brainwashing of John Dehlin, being groomed, just because they are unhappy with the videos that I did. And that's a stupid thing to do. It's like a woman who is beaten by her boyfriend, and her parents say, "You can't be with him, he's beating you." And so the girl, in defiance of her parents, "How dare you talk bad about him? I know the real him. He's got a good heart. He's blah, blah, blah." And so she goes out and gets pregnant and marries him, assuming he wants to get married to her. It's that kind of thing. It's the stupidest response a person can do when people are trying to help and warn somebody of danger, when they're being abused, to go out and make it worse, just to spite the people who want to love and care for you. And so, it doesn't make any sense, this kind of attitude. For me, how did I turn to the dark side of the light? It was over time. As a little kid in Corona, sitting in the chapel, and you can see it right there where it is. That's where I would take the flyers that we'd get for sacrament meeting, and I would doodle, because I'm bored listening to all these people talk. But when somebody says something that catches my ear, I would write it down. And by the time of the 2000s, I've been divorced from my first wife. I've gotten a dual bachelor's with a minor. Had even deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, had deciphered Egyptian petroglyphs, and had gone a couple of years to the University of Utah, focusing mostly on anthropology of the ancient Middle East with Eva Vasilevska. And I decided, you know what, maybe I should go through this big stack of papers that I'd collected since my youth. And having had as my education philosophy of science as well as philosophy of ethics and morality, I had recognized that I had the makings for a philosophy of Mormonism. And so that's one of the projects that I did during the 2000s, was I compiled all those things together. And it was labeled into different sections within the major realm of philosophy of Mormonism. And it was called Mormon Illiteracy. Boy, was my older singles ward stake president pissed. He was in a rage. And the bishop was the one who told me this. Because the bishop said I had to calm him down. I knew that that's not what you meant. No, it's exactly what I meant. Mormons are illiterate. There's multiple levels on which they are illiterate. They're grammatically illiterate, translation illiteracy, a whole list of almost 10, I think maybe even 10. I have to go back and check. But showing examples of how the Mormons have misunderstood their own scriptures because of an illiteracy, definitional illiteracy, changing meanings to create new meanings. So, yeah, well, I gotta go running. But if Mormons are so insecure about being Mormon, then that would explain why they're listening to our videos as ex-Mormons. But to attack us like a little kid who has a crush on a little girl and cannot let her know that it's a crush, and so he lashes out with abuse. He burns her ponytails, sticks her ponytails in an inkwell. I just had a flashback of the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson, in which his son has the crush on the one girl, and she gets revenge on him by having him drink tea, and then she's rounded up with her family in the church and burned. Man, that was a tough movie to watch. And we're going to face that very soon. Because I'm the only one that's warning you about what the church isn't warning you. Because I'm not just exposing the church's corruption and lies. I'm also doing what Nelson and Monson, previous to him, have refused to do as presidents of the church. That's to warn you guys. And so, yes, there is a warning out right now that I've given, and it's not up to me to fulfill it. I just followed the inspiration and gave it. And I've been right to this point. But because it hasn't happened yet, I can only have faith that it will happen. That's how faith works. You have faith until it finally happens. Now you know, and you no longer have faith. It's dormant until the next one comes along from the seed of the fruit that you had originally produced. It's a very simple gospel, but apparently Mormons do not believe. They want complicated gospel for which they can't be judged. You can't judge me. You haven't walked in my shoes. Oh, you have? Yes, your shoes are way too small. Found out yesterday the Incredible Hulk, speaking about shoes being too small and ripping, Hulk, he's deaf. They had to put a cochlear implant in his ears. So, isn't that interesting? The Incredible Hulk has a weakness. Alrighty. So just be nice. I mean, my hell. If you can't defend the church properly, just cut it out. Recognize it's wrong. It's okay to leave. Yes, I know the church has put the fear of God into us. Oh, don't leave. God will be angry. Oh, don't take off your magic underwear. You'll be destroyed by the destroyer. You won't have it as a shield and a protection. What? You know, you're going to be apostate. You're going to lose the spirit. I haven't lost the spirit. As you've been watching in my videos, I've been inspired. The results happen. That's from God, according to Mormonism. And you're not recognizing it because you're looking beyond the mark, Mormons. And even ex-Mormons. You know, something offended you in the church, so you cut off the whole church and the whole doctrine, even to trash Joseph Smith as the church wants you to. You fell for their trap. Brigham Young had Joseph Smith murdered, and in order to deceive Mormons to come with him to the desert wasteland, it was necessary for him to frame Joseph beyond what he'd already been framing Joseph for while in the church. Because of his secret Danites, Orrin Porter Rockwell, they were the ones committing the crimes. And Joseph, as the president of the church, was getting blamed for it. And you all fell for it. Because you're not doing a thorough research. You're not putting all the little pieces of the Mormon history puzzle together. You know Sidney Rigdon is the author of the Book of Mormon. You know this. You've read it from somebody. You may not know because you've not seen the linguistics in regards to this, on how it is Sidney Rigdon, but you know, and yet you still come out and blame Joseph Smith for creating the Book of Mormon, calling it a fraud and a money-making scheme and blah, blah, blah. You know this. So why do you keep throwing Joseph into the equation? Because that's what Brigham wanted you to do. That's what this church wants you to do. Because for Mormons, Joseph as a history gives him authority. Don't fall for it. Dear God, what does it take to get through to ex-Mormons? You're as stubborn as the Mormons you were. Cut it out. All right, 40 minutes. Nobody's going to listen to this.